Redo is a loser whose childhood friend hates him for being a super freak. But one day, when the Earth is suddenly attacked by aliens, he gets the ability to give her superpowers by getting freaky with her. Now they will have to defend the Earth, while I defend this video from getting age restricted. When Redo was little, he often played with his childhood crush, Kurara, at the local playground. One day, she grabbed his hand and proudly said they should hold hands like adults. It was a sweet, sparkling moment, until everything changed. Aliens suddenly attacked, shattering that picture-perfect moment. From then on, Redo swore he'd grow up to be a hero. Fast forward 5 years, and his heroic life looks pretty lame. One of Redo's friends sneaks in a cultural artifact featuring Mia Malkova, and the boys laugh like hyenas. Meanwhile, the girls are thoroughly disgusted. Kurara, now colder than Antarctica, grabs the magazine and throws it away without hesitation. She's no longer a playful girl, now she's the queen of the anti-boy club. A glasses-wearing classmate teases Redo, saying he was rejected before even trying. The other girls whisper that Kurara's just sick of guys and their nonsense. Redo can't help but agree. The girl he once adored for her playful smile now feels completely out of reach. Later during cleaning duty, one of the girls asks Kurara to deliver textbooks to the teacher's room. She agrees, but flatly refuses to carry the boys' books. That's when Redo steps in, offering to help. Kurara doesn't say anything, but leaves the books behind for him, warning him to keep a full meter of distance. As they walk, Redo tries being sincere, telling her she doesn't need to care so much about appearances. Kurara stops, offended, and shoots back that she didn't change for no reason. It's something he couldn't possibly understand. She storms off, only to slip on the stairs. Redo dives in and catches her, but his heroic moment backfires when his hand lands somewhere very soft. Classic. He apologizes frantically, but Kurara starts blushing and says nothing. Later that night, Redo sees breaking news of another alien attack. 5 years ago, these insect-like creatures, the Kashichu, began invading Earth. Their favorite meal? Human lust. They suck it away, leaving victims drained and uninterested in intimacy. If left unchecked, humanity could eventually go extinct. Nearby, a flashy pop concert unfolds. The singer's skimpy top slips mid-song, sending fans into a frenzy. But before they can enjoy the view, a Kashichu crashes the party and drains everyone. At that moment, Redo charges onto the scene, still holding a personal grudge against these creatures for what they did to Kurara. With his Zero Gear, which weaponizes the freaky energy, he charges forward and blasts the alien to pieces. But the blast also destroys his clothes, leaving him frustrated. He visits Professor Anju, the scientist behind the Zero Gear, and complains about the constant wardrobe malfunctions. But the professor only lowers the output and asks if Redo has found their last teammate. When Redo suggests Anju himself, the old man laughs, saying Zero Gear only works with young people whose freak levels are still uncontrollable. He reminds Redo why he fights in the first place. Memories of the day Kurara was scarred by the Kashichu resurface, hardening his resolve. The next day, Redo tries apologizing to Kurara about the stair incident, but she shuts him out completely. Even after school, he doesn't give up. He tells her he's sorry, even if she won't forgive him or say a word. Just as he gathers the courage to confess his feelings, disaster strikes again. A Kashichu appears again. Kurara freezes in terror while Redo shields her, but this time his energy is drained. His fists are useless, his power gone, and once again, they're both left cornered. The Kashichu lunges for Kurara, but Redo refuses to let it take her. Thinking fast, he flings a towel at its face, grabs her hand, and bolts. They end up under their old playground hideout, the place where their memories began. There, something unexpected stirs in Kurara. Redo braces for her anger, but instead, she lets him hold her hand. For years, she locked away her feelings behind walls of ice, but Redo's warmth cracks them wide open. The overflow of energy surges into Redo's Zero Gear, amplifying it beyond anything he's ever felt. Redo realizes quickly that Kurara's freaky energy is off the charts, like she's running on some kind of premium fuel. Meanwhile, the Kashichu continues its rampage, growing larger and deadlier. When it finally corners them, Redo tells Kurara to trust him. She nods, and together they combine their overflowing energy into one massive strike. The impact completely annihilates the Kashichu, and also their clothes. Redo is fired up by their newfound strength, but Kurara is horrified, covering herself in shame. Without missing a beat, she slaps him across the face, and he instantly apologizes. Kurara freezes. Memories she buried 5 years ago resurface, not just the terror of the attack, but the words the Kashichu spoke. It said her desire was too much for a girl like her. Before self-destructing, it mocked her as the female deity. The insult left her scarred, and from that moment she walled herself off from boys. But now with Redo, something feels different. For the first time, she wants to open up again. She turns to him with resolve and offers to help, but only if he promises never to speak of today's incident. Just as Redo begins to respond, a bag smacks him in the face. He turns to see 3 girls standing there, his teammates. They don't even blink at the nudity. Clearly, this isn't new for them. One of them casually hands Kurara a change of clothes and a key. When she asks what it's for, the girl explains that the team all live together. Kurara freezes, realizing Redo has been shacking up with his own personal harem. She doesn't hesitate and slap number 2 lands instantly. Poor Redo might survive aliens, but not this girl's hands. The next morning, Redo wakes from a wild dream, one that gives him way too much plot boost. In it, Kurara gently guides his hand onto her, showing him exactly how perfect she feels. Just as things are about to escalate, he wakes up, only to find a dog sitting on his chest. But this isn't an ordinary dog. It's Runa, the dorm's troublemaking pet. Turns out, Runa has just stolen a pair of Momoka's underwear. She storms in to reclaim them, not angry that Redo has them, but convinced he trained the dog to be his accomplice. Before Redo can protest, Sora pops out from under his blanket in thin pajamas. Still half asleep, Redo staggers to the dining table, where Mahime, the responsible one, greets him with tea. Redo jokes she's probably the only normal one in the house. Mahime just laughs, insisting the others aren't so bad, before kneeling to feed Runa. Then a piece of food slips into her shirt and the degenerate dog dives right in. She can't help but enjoy the situation. While the others live together comfortably, Kurara keeps her distance. She met them all yesterday, including Professor Anju, but still refuses to lower her guard. Momoka tries to reassure her they're all the same, but Kurara refuses to be lumped together with them. Anju sides with Momoka, pointing out everyone here shares one thing: high freaky energy. Kurara blushes bright red and storms off. The group turns to Redo, begging him to talk to her. He hesitates but eventually agrees. Just as he's figuring out how to approach her, danger strikes. A Kashichu harasses a girl by absurdly lengthening her skirt. Without hesitation, Redo jumps in, smashes the creature into the ground, and vanishes before the girl can thank him. At school, a guy bursts out of class in tears. When Redo asks, a friend explains that Kurara just rejected him. She's flustered to see Redo nearby and quickly grows awkward. Redo's buddies ask what happened between them, but he brushes it off, remembering his promise not to talk about what happened yesterday. During gym class, while Kurara puts equipment away, Redo approaches her. Before he talks, she cuts him off and demands to know if he told anyone about yesterday. Redo reassures her that he didn't do anything. He's here because the team wants her to join. Kurara turns away, clearly unwilling. Redo doesn't push. He says he understands it's not fair to force her to fight her trauma. That makes her pause. She asks why he fights. Redo admits it's because of what happened between them all those years ago, how the Kashichu tore them apart. He doesn't want anyone else to lose their bonds like they did. He even mentions Anju's words about her unique energy, but makes it clear he won't pressure her. Kurara mutters under her breath, questioning why they all want her. Do they think she's just some kind of a freak? Memories stir. As kids, she once teased Redo with a heartbeat trick, telling him to touch her chest to feel hers. Flustered, he refused, so she suggested a hug instead, claiming their heartbeats would sync. Back then it was innocent flirting, but now she's no longer that carefree girl. Out on the field, another Kashichu appears, this time targeting the same boy she rejected. It pins him down, mocking his fantasies of Kurara in swimsuit. The boy admits he just wanted to be friends, but her cold rejection crushed him. The Kashichu offers to erase his feelings forever, so he won't feel the sting of rejection again. Kurara watches from hiding, and trembles. She remembers Redo's words, no one should have their feelings taken by force. She steps forward and offers herself instead. The creature gladly accepts and moves in to feed on her energy. But Redo arrives just in time, kicking it away and delivers a solid punch to its gut. With their combined energy, they destroy the Kashichu and their clothes as well. Redo's confused, why Kurara's clothes vanish too, and quickly tosses her a spare outfit from his bag. Before they can change, the boy returns with police, forcing them to duck into a car. Bodies press together, and the cramped space makes Kurara blush furiously. Luckily, the cops pass without noticing. Later, Kurara quietly decides to join the team. Not for them, but because she can't forgive the Kashichu. Still, she lays down one strict rule. Redo can't exploit her energy, or any other girls for that matter. A sudden gust of wind blows her shirt open, flashing him her milk jugs, and she slaps him on instinct. Later that day, she properly apologizes to the boy she rejected. Finally, she moves into the dorm. Momoka eagerly drags her off for a tour, leaving Redo behind. He heads back to his room, finally ready to rest, until an emergency call shakes the house. A giant Kashichu is attacking the city. Suddenly, the floor beneath him opens up, and Redo plummets straight into the girl's bathroom, landing directly on Kurara. The others calmly explain they were bathing together for bonding. Kurara explodes in rage, her energy flaring out so aggressively it accidentally obliterates the giant Kashichu outside. Some nights later, a swarm of tiny Kashichu are sneaking around stealing women's underwear, and the team scrambles to stop them. Momoka charges in with a kick while Kurara lingers outside, still trying to wrap her head around how Momoka fights completely naked, without a care in the world. When Momoka tells her to catch one Kashichu that's getting away, Kurara tries to attack but her energy fizzles out, leaving her helpless as the little pest steals her own underwear instead. Back at the dorm, Kurara sulks about her failure. Mahime reassures her that mistakes happen, but Sora bluntly questions why Kurara's once insane powers suddenly vanished. Irritated, Momoka cups Kurara's face, and demands to know if she's recharged her energy yet. Kurara has no idea what she is talking about. Momoka realizes Kurara hasn't done anything with Redo to replenish her energy. She explains that heroes are supposed to fuel themselves with daily freaky thoughts. Momoka demonstrates, before suggesting Kurara to watch Johnny Sins for ideas. Kurara refuses, insisting she's a refined lady. That sets Momoka off. She grabs Kurara's chest and scolds her for wasting her assets. Mahime quickly pulls her away, and explaining Momoka always gets defensive when someone outshines her. Momoka denies it, ranting instead about how Kurara's disdain for their work feels insulting. Suddenly, Sora appears, smacks her with a book, and leaves without a word. Kurara is left speechless by Momoka's words. Later in her room, Momoka thinks about how Kurara is wasting her potential, especially those perfectly built personalities. Glaring at her chest, sees the difference loud and clear. No matter what titles she earned, her older sister always overshadowed her. And now Kurara with her perfectly built jellos, stirs up the same insecurity. Momoka sees an article about massages that supposedly help increase her size. But all the steps require someone else's help. Then a TV segment swears soy milk baths help growth. The next day, Momoka fills the tub with milk and soaks until sunset. When Redo walks in, he finds her lying weakly at the edge of the tub. He helps her up, but his touch makes her tremble. Flustered, she blurts out a question about whether he prefers bigger or smaller personalities, before cutting herself off in embarrassment. She tries to explain her milk plan, and just makes everything worse. Redo notices the milk cartons and gently tells her it's fine. She can do whatever she wants. Relieved, Momoka thanks him, but then Redo's device reacts to his unholy thoughts, and he bolts in a panic. Watching him, Momoka realizes size doesn't matter. She remembers when Anju recruited her, and chose her over her sister. For the first time, she felt like the one leading. Later, when Kurara comes home, Momoka confronts her and boldly declares that even if Kurara's body is ahead, she will still become the strongest. Kurara has no idea what Momoka is talking about, and just nods. That night, the same reporter appears on TV, apologizing for spreading the soy milk myth, leaving Momoka's efforts pointless. Days later during swimming class, one girl discovers her underwear is missing. Kurara immediately knows what's going on. She spots a Kashichu, and dashes through the hallways in her swimsuit. Redo follows, wondering if this is Kurara's new energy-gathering method. She denies it, but Redo leaps ahead, and knocks the creature out the window. He recovers the underwear, only to be accused of being the thief by classmates. Kurara quickly defends him, saying the real culprit already fled. That evening, Kurara shyly asks her friends for advice about underwear, shocking them. They happily help, teasing her about the man she's doing this for. Kurara denies all of it and is flustered by the choices her friends pick, but they assure her that the man she likes would fold to her new undies. That night, after everyone's asleep, Kurara sneaks into Redo's room. He thinks it's the dog, but then freezes as Kurara strips, revealing her new underwear. She declares she's only there to recharge energy, nothing else. Redo innocently assumes it's another childhood-style sleepover. Memories of a night years ago resurface, when he almost kissed her in her sleep, but chickened out. She hates that she remembers it now. Suddenly, two hands grab her Jigglypuffs from behind. She thinks it's Redo, and her heart races, only to realize it's Sora. She's sleepwalking into the wrong room again. Kurara storms out, jealous and frustrated that another girl reached his room first. In her rage, she accidentally blows up her room, along with her brand new underwear. The next morning, Anju marvels at her insane energy output, while Momoka smirks, teasing Kurara by asking exactly how she managed to recharge so much overnight. Days later, deep beneath Chichibu Mountain lies the hidden nest of the Kashichu, and only 3 remain. Their queen appears on a massive screen, ordering them to eliminate Reto's team. One steps forward with a brilliant plan, and the queen approves, demanding results. Meanwhile, Mahime is in dreamland, and not the wholesome kind. In her dream, she's captured by a slippery tentacled Kashichu, only to wake up flustered. She blushes as Rumba, the freaky mutt, pants hot air in her face. Still shaken, she heads for a shower, only for Reto to casually stroll in like it's a convenience store. Her leftover dream sensitivity nearly makes her collapse on the spot. At her all-girls school, her childhood friend Chia greets her by boldly lifting skirts for fun. Chia is called the prince, since she's talented at literally everything. While Mahime is known as the princess, because she's useless. Mahime often feels like she's just weighing Chia down. During lunch on the rooftop, Chia tries to boost her confidence, but Mahime brushes it off, believing looks are all she has. Chia suggests she join a school club to discover her strengths, but Mahime declines, claiming she's busy with a secret job. Curious, Chia teases her by poking at her assets, until Mahime protests. Elsewhere, Reto is once again shirtless, because he is chasing a jellyfish-like Kashichu through a dark alley. But he gets ambushed. At that moment, emergency warnings ring out across Mahime's school, and her zero gear begins to glow. While the students evacuate, she walks the opposite way, determined to face the threat. The Kashichu barges into the school, striking terrified students. Until Mahime blocks its attack with her bare arms. Recognizing her zero gear, the creature grins and slips a tentacle into her clothes, swirling around her body, just like in her dream. She nearly loses herself to the sensation, but rips one tentacle free, only to discover it's actually Reto, absorbed into the monster. He warns her that the Kashichu can turn humans into its tentacles. The creature keeps pressing, demanding a real fight. Mahime accepts, unleashing her special attack, her powerful voice. The Kashichu shatters under the impact, releasing Reto. Still draped across her shoulders, he accidentally grabs her milk cannons, creating a happy accident. But he's not the only one freed, other tentacles revert into dazed girls. From behind a wall, Chia watches, glad to see her best friend is capable of so much more than she lets on. Back at the dorm, Kurara tries to speak with Reto, but with him lounging on the couch and her standing above him, the angle is very distracting. He quickly looks away, but she also notices and steps back, realizing how compromising the angle is. From the corner, Sora mutters that Kurara's body is perfection. She casually touches her, and leaves like nothing happened. Kurara vents to Mahime while she cooks, but Mahime calmly says Sora seems fond of her. Momoka chimes in, revealing Sora is always sketching in her notebook, though no one's seen what's inside. She suggests it'd be good if everyone opened up more. Naturally, Momoka takes it too far, touching Kurara until milk spills all over Mahime. Rumba immediately licks it off, targeting the most suspicious spot possible. Kurara finally starts to realize how unhinged this group truly is. Upstairs, Kurara finds an open sketchbook filled with drawings of voluptuous women. Turns out it's Sora's sketchbook, and no one has ever seen it. Kurara tries to cheer her up, but Sora panics and threatens to blackmail her. If she tells anyone, she'll have to pose like Mia Khalifa on a shoot. Kurara freaks out, questioning why it has to be that far. Sora admits her secret, she draws erotic art to recharge her energy, but she's afraid of being judged. Kurara gently reassures her, saying everyone has their secrets and promises not to tell anyone. Sora is touched, but demands to see Kurara's big plots in return. She tosses her a flute and orders her to pose like she is about to blow it. Before things escalate, a Kashichu crashes through the wall, right as Kurara is still half-dressed. Poor Reto walks in, getting slapped into another dimension. Meanwhile in the city, a Kashichu attacks a bookstore, which turns out to be Sora's favorite shop. She powers up in rage, sprouting glowing energy wings, shocking Kurara. While Sora destroys the creature, Kurara supports her, but their victory is short-lived. The shopkeeper reveals herself as a Kashichu in disguise and snatches Kurara away. It drags Kurara straight into their lair with the hope of the others heading to save her. The team decides they can't waste any more time, so they're going to rescue Kurara today. Sora, drowning in guilt, insists it's her fault Kurara slipped away. Mahime and Reto quickly reassure her, reminding her that no one could have guessed the friendly bookshop lady was actually a discount cosplay version of a Kashichu. Momoka points out a much bigger issue: they're way too low on energy to pull this off. But, of course, she already has a plan. She drags the girls into a private room and shares her idea. Mahime and Sora instantly refuse, but Momoka insists it's for the team. After a short silence, they all step back out and hand their underwear to Redo. Their Zero Gears immediately flare with power thanks to the extra ventilation down there. Redo nearly drops dead on the spot, while Momoka teases him about enjoying his little power boost. He shoots back, fires back that she's clearly enjoying this the most. This instantly reminds Momoka of that one embarrassing time when he caught her during solo training session. Redo straightens up, swearing that if they're ever in danger, he'll act as their armor, no matter how awkward things get. Meanwhile in the Kashichu lair, Kurara is surrounded by aliens. A shapeshifter alien reveals itself, explaining that some Kashichu can alter their forms and blend into human society. And they are the ones who often strike without warning. The shapeshifter heads off to report to the queen, leaving Kurara under surveillance. Thinking fast, she grabs a rock and pulls the old damsel in distress trick. She lures a Kashichu closer, claiming she's useless without her Zero Gear. The second it frees her ropes, she smacks it unconscious with the rock and bolts. She crashes straight into a mutated Kashichu, who immediately jumps on her big plots. But the creature quickly apologizes, blurting out that it's just excited to meet a real human. She introduces herself as Cha-Cha, the queen's firstborn. A failure locked away since birth for being different. Cha-Cha explains that she loves Earth, and wants to stop her mother's invasion. She begs Kurara for help, swearing that even if humans never forgive her, she wants to help them. Kurara sees the sincerity in her eyes and agrees. Outside, the team reaches the cave. Powered up and fully charged, they clear the path. Inside, Cha-Cha explains to Kurara that unlike other Kichichu, she can give energy instead of just taking it. To prove it, she transfers some of her energy to her. Kurara enjoys the sensation but her power doesn't spike. Cha-Cha tilts her head and innocently asks who Kurara was thinking about in that moment. Kurara turns red like tomato ketchup, and shouts that Cha-Cha is being ridiculous. Cha-Cha, confused, mutters that humans are weirdly shy about the most basic things. She tells Kurara to be more honest with herself. But before she can respond, an explosion shakes the lair. Kurara smiles, knowing her team has arrived. But just as she prepares to escape, the shapeshifter swoops in and restrains her again. Cha-Cha tries to intervene, but it smacks her aside, cruelly declaring she'll never be one of them. As she's dragged away, Kurara shouts that she'll come back for her. Outside, Redo stands before the Kashichu ship. The shapeshifter presents a restrained Kurara and threatens to drain her energy completely, unless Redo surrenders. Kurara yells that she can fight, but Redo steps forward, offering himself instead. He doesn't want to repeat the past when she was the one who protected him. He tells her to focus on her degenerate energy, and it is nothing to be ashamed of. In fact, it's their greatest weapon. Kurara remembers Cha-Cha telling her to be honest. She flashes back to a festival years ago, hiding from the rain with Redo, secretly wishing for a normal life. She wanted to give chocolate to the boys she liked, and make babies. All of it stolen by the Kashichu invasion. She gets angry and her power explodes. She breaks free and unleashes a massive blast, sending the shapeshifter flying into sky. Exhausted, she collapses, but Redo catches her. Barely conscious, she begs him to save Cha-Cha. Inside the collapsing ship, Cha-Cha accepts that no one's coming to save her. Until a hand reaches out to pull her free. Meanwhile, the girls find Kurara and carry her to safety, waiting nervously for Redo. Kurara fears he won't return, but a voice calls out from the woods. It's him, along with another Kurara. Everyone freezes, until the second Kurara reveals herself as Cha-Cha in disguise. Kurara explains that Cha-Cha's on their side now, and Cha-Cha nods, admitting that beating her mother isn't as simple as blowing up one lair. With a smile, she offers to help, for Earth, and for her own freedom. The next morning, the team brings Cha-Cha to Unju's workplace. He's caught off guard when he walks in, and sees Cha-Cha disguised as Kurara. At first, he thinks it's some prank the girls cooked up, but when Cha-Cha reveals her true form, Unju nearly falls out of his chair. Redo asks if she can stay with them. Unju hesitates, saying it might be possible, but only after isolation and a full investigation. Kurara immediately steps up, insisting there's no need since Cha-Cha won't be out in public anyway. More importantly, she can give the team much-needed energy boosts. Just then, Cha-Cha trips on Kurara's skirt, looks up, and sees the moon shining above her. Anju can't help but notice how strongly Kurara defends Cha-Cha, so he allows her to stay at the dorm. The following morning, Cha-Cha decides to be helpful in her own way. She transforms into Redo and initiates a little energy-boosting session with Kurara. But before anything happens, Kurara backs away. She insists she can't do it if Cha-Cha looks like Redo and tells her not to copy anyone from the dorm. Cha-Cha immediately turns into Rumba, the Diddy dog. Kurara waves her off, saying she's already fully charged, but Cha-Cha insists she just wants to help. Moments later, Cha-Cha bumps into the real Redo in the hallway and declares him her next target. He flat out refuses. Cha-Cha doesn't take no for an answer, and merges her consciousness with his, trapping him inside her mind so he sees and feels everything she does. Together, they head to Mahime's room. At first, Mahime is nervous, but the second Cha-Cha barks like a dog, Mahime melts and hugs her tight. Redo, stuck experiencing it all, nearly short-circuits. Cha-Cha slips under Mahime's shirt and Redo is stunned by the degeneracy on display. Meanwhile, Mahime just enjoys her doggy therapy. Next, they head to Momoka's room, where she's mid-stretch. Cha-Cha explains she wants to help and Momoka agrees. But only if she takes Momoka's form, with upgraded assets. Redo, trapped in her mind, is forced to witness the chaos as Cha-Cha massages Momoka. But thanks to her sweat's strange effect, Momoka overheats and begs Cha-Cha to massage her even more, fully enjoying the treatment. Then comes Sora, who's busy drawing another degenerate manga. Cha-Cha startles her, but when she sees what Sora's sketching, she immediately tries it out on her, and sends Sora tumbling out of her chair. Finally, they reach Kurara, who's about to take a bath. She invites Cha-Cha to join, but Redo panics inside, realizing what's about to happen. He remembers Cha-Cha's sweat can cause strange effects, and warns her to get out of the tub, but it's too late. Kurara is already affected. Cha-Cha seizes the moment, shifts into Redo's form, and tries to push things further. But Redo fights back, refusing to let it happen like this. He reminds her that tricking someone isn't love, and he loves Kurara, not her energy. With sheer willpower, he breaks free of her mind. Kurara wakes up soon after and assumes the whole thing was Redo's idea. Furious, she drags both him and Cha-Cha into a terrifying punishment session they'll never forget. A few days later, a Kashichu appears in the city. Kurara defeats it, but before dying, it explodes and drenches her in a strange liquid. She immediately starts feeling off. She's acting like her old self again. When Redo sees her, she's clingier than ever. He brings her back to the dorm and calls Anju, who explains it's probably temporary. The Kashichu's fluids likely reverted her brain to a past state. The next morning, Redo is already running for his life as the old clingy Kurara chases him. In class, she sits in front of him, spreading her legs on purpose to get a reaction. Their classmates are confused, but one says that this is just like old times. During gym, students pair up and Kurara jumps on Redo, using the excuse to grab him. That's when Redo realizes she's not wearing anything under her gym uniform. He drags her to the infirmary and scolds her, demanding she cover up. Kurara smirks and asks if he'll do it himself. If not, she'll stay like this until school ends. Flustered, Redo blurts out that it's not that he doesn't want to help. He just doesn't want other guys looking at her. Kurara is thrilled by his honesty and she pulls him into her and gives him a little treat. He carefully covers her, though his thoughts nearly derail as he feels her softness through the fabric. When he finishes, this action brings her back to her senses, and she returns her to normal self. Later, the group regathers. One of Redo's friends teases Kurara, and she immediately yeets traffic cones at him. She's happy to be back, but deep inside her consciousness, a tiny devilish version of herself lurks in the shadows. Meanwhile, Anju receives a call from the Tokyo branch, and they're furious that a Kashichu is now part of the team. A few days later, on the sidewalk, two boys try sneaking in some cheeky sightseeing on passing girls, but get caught by two scary-looking girls. At first, they scold them, but one of them flips the mood and teases instead. She says catching glimpses like that require luck. She hints they should be looking up, not down. As the girls walk away and climb the pedestrian bridge, the boys finally catch on to what she meant. Meanwhile, back at Redo's dorm, he munches on breakfast while watching the news. The report highlights a growing issue: people are skipping school and work, unable to wake because their dreams feel more appealing than real life. At school, his teacher and classmates are absent, caught in the same trap. Back at the dorm, the girls share a bath and discuss the same unsettling pattern they've noticed. Cha-Cha says it feels like an anomaly and admits she already has a good guess about who's behind it. She insists it has to be a Kashichu. Ever since her mother vanished, the remaining Kashichus have started acting independently, spiraling out of control. The group agrees they'll have to fight. But before anything, Momoka insists on gathering some energy with Kurara. Soon the team receives an address and they head to an abandoned building. The moment they step inside, a voice booms through the speakers. It's a Kashichu, calling Cha-Cha a traitor for siding with humans. Momoka steps forward, challenging the alien to cut the crap and fight, roasting its voice for sounding like a cow in heat. Offended, the Kashichu accepts, declaring that their real enemy is their own desire. In an instant, the entire team falls asleep. Inside this dream world, Redo finds himself reliving moments when he and Kurara were close. This time, she's not just his friend, she's his girlfriend. Then suddenly, 4 versions of Kurara surround him, each asking which one he truly loves. Redo, being Redo, declares that he loves all of them, from the freakiest to the strictest. Back in reality, the 2 girls from the bridge arrive on the scene. They reveal themselves as agents from the Tokyo branch, Shiko and Moana. Inside the dream world, Cha-Cha breaks in and tries to wake Redo up. But he refuses, comfortable inside his fantasy Kurara harem. She challenges him, asking if this fake paradise is really what he wants. She even tempts him further, offering to become Kurara herself and give him everything he desires. Eventually, Redo agrees, and the Kurara from his dream asks him to make the real her happy. Cha-Cha gives him his zero gear in his, and he forces himself awake by pinching his cheek. The Kashichu senses the shift and tries harder to keep him locked down, but Shiko and Moana manage to track the alien's location. The Kashichu demands to know how they resist the influence. Shiko explains that they do fall asleep, but the effects don't hit them hard. Finally Redo wakes up, but the others remain trapped in their dreams. Suddenly, there's an explosion from the other room. Redo rushes over and finds Shiko and Moana already stripped from battle. Moana points out that Cha-Cha is a Kashichu, and Shiko immediately attacks her. But Redo pulls Cha-Cha close, declaring she's his friend. Hearing this, Shiko realizes this must be the rumored team working with a Kashichu ally, and she's not impressed. She kicks Redo away, warning him not to act cocky just because he's got one on his side. Then she tries to take Cha-Cha away, but Redo clings to her leg, refusing to let go. Shiko smirks, and proposes a challenge. Whoever can resist an overflow of degenerate energy, wins Cha-Cha. Redo has no clue what she means until Shiko suddenly grabs his face with her feet and pins him down. He struggles to focus on his feelings for Kurara to avoid folding, while Cha-Cha calmly explains to Moana that Redo's already trained, he won't break that easily. Meanwhile inside Kurara's dream, she sees a version of Redo choosing her old self. The sight jolts her awake, and she manages to break the Kashichu's grip and wake the others too. Back in the other room, Redo still endures as Shiko begins to crack. Moana insists there's no way he can beat her, but Cha-Cha refuses to stand by. She leaps from Moana's arms and bites Redo's shoulder, giving him an unexpected boost. The effect is instant. Redo goes wild, and grabs Moana first, overwhelming her with sheer intensity like prime Johnny Sins. She panics, realizing how sensitive she is, and remembers that her zero gear isn't meant to boost her. It's designed to contain her power. If Redo can overpower that, it means he's stronger than the gear itself. And he does. When the boost finally wears out, Redo is stunned to find both girls defeated, with no memory of what just happened. Moana admits it's rare to lose against someone like him, while Shiko denies it furiously as Moana teases her. Redo ignores them, scooping up Cha-Cha to head back. But Shiko suddenly stops him and asks for his name. Before the dust can settle, the Kashish gets up again, larger and stronger than ever. It strikes Shiko, but Redo springs in to save her. Just then, Kurara and the others arrive to back him up. With a tag team strike from Kurara and Momoka, the Kashichu is finally destroyed. After the battle, Kurara asks who the strangers are. Redo explains they're Shiko and Moana, agents from the Tokyo branch. Momoka recognizes Moana, recalling they've met before. Redo asks if Shiko's done with her freaky-ass challenge, but she points at the whole team and boldly declares that one day she will win. One way or another, she's getting what she wants, and that's Redo. With that, the 2 girls walk away, leaving Redo confused, still convinced she was after Cha-Cha. A few days later, after gym class, Kurara still has that strange little devil hovering around her. This version is wilder, bolder, and brutally honest, constantly urging her to let loose. But she always ignores it. Ever since that slimy attack by the bee-like Kasachu, she's been hallucinating this version. At first, Kurara only saw her in dreams, but now the hallucination appears even when she's awake. What irritates her the most is the skimpy outfit this dark doppelganger insists on wearing. The constant provocation finally makes Kurara snap. She yells at Black Kurara to shut up and get lost. Unfortunately, Redo happens to overhear. He freezes, thinking she's mad at him, and apologizes. Kurara tries to explain, but Black Kurara sees the perfect opening and shoves Kurara forward, sending her into Redo's arms. Both blush in embarrassment, while Black Kurara rolls her eyes and mutters that the two of them are hopeless. She sits on Redo's shoulder with a grin, offering to show them how it's really done. Kurara pushes Redo away and bolts. While catching her breath, Kurara demands to know how her hallucination could do something like that. Black Kurara shrugs, reminding her she can't physically touch anything. She's just a projection of Kurara's own thoughts. Which means, deep down Kurara must want Redo to hold her. Kurara screams in denial, but since no one else can see Black Kurara, everyone nearby assumes she's losing her mind. At the school gate, Redo worries about Kurara, but is interrupted when Shiko shows up. She apologizes for kicking him before and casually asks if Kurara is his girlfriend. When Redo admits they aren't dating, Shiko pats his shoulder and teases that he just got rejected. Then with her usual confidence, she smirks and asks if he wants a closer look at her jellos. Redo refuses, but Shiko quickly suggests something bolder, that they become practice friends to help each other recharge their freaky energy. Before he can respond, she hands him her number into his and walks away. Later that day, Shiko texts him a picture of her new underwear to get his reaction. When she tries to push further with a full-body shot, she hesitates. But someone knocks at her door and she accidentally sends it. Flustered, she checks her phone, but Redo just replies that maybe her account got hacked. The next morning, as Redo and Kurara head to school, Shiko is already there, waiting for him. She gives Redo a homemade bento, saying that since they've already shared everything, so there's no need to be awkward. Kurara immediately steps in, saying Shiko can't just claim Redo like that. But Shiko brushes her off, pointing out Kurara isn't even his girlfriend, or his practice buddy. She whispers that only Redo can awaken her erotic energy, leaving Kurara speechless, and then walks off. At lunch Kurara sulks with only bread, while Redo enjoys Shiko's perfectly packed bento. Black Kurara pipes up again, announcing that Shiko is now her rival. That night, she keeps teasing, reminding Kurara that since she and Redo live under the same roof, which means she has the home field advantage. She tells her to stop hesitating, dominate him, and see what happens. Kurara refuses, but Black Kurara warns her that sooner or later someone will steal Redo away. Meanwhile, Redo is in the bathroom working with Cha-Cha, running an experiment to analyze the bite effect from days ago. Kurara pretends not to know and casually walks in, only to catch Redo mid-transformation. Beast Redo activates and lunges at her, hands roaming uncontrollably. She immediately responds with a solid punch, snapping him out of it. Kurara thinks he was being indecent, but Cha-Cha intervenes before it escalates, letting Redo explain that this is part of his beast mode and the research he's conducting. He suspects Shiko doesn't know it, probably just assuming he's a freak in the sheets. Redo apologizes for attacking her, saying he doesn't remember any of it, but assumes something weird happened. Kurara accepts his apology since she barged in. Though she firmly tells him to stop using beast mode because it's far too dangerous. The next morning, Redo dreams of a mysterious voice urging him to embrace his physiological needs if he wants more power. He doesn't understand, but wakes up with Cha-Cha on top of him. He tosses her outside, insisting it's way too early for that kind of situation. At breakfast table, a strange energy drink sits. Sora and Mahime don't know where it came from, but Redo grabs it without hesitation. Moments later, Momoka appears and explains the drink replenishes freaky energy. She is shocked to realize Redo already consumed it. After school, as Redo considers drinking the new beverage, Shiko pops up with a snack. Suspicious, he asks why she keeps showing up in his city. She claims to have finished dealing with a Kashichu, but Redo bluntly says that she probably doesn't have friends. Shiko gets defensive, muttering that she does, but flustered, she snatches the drink and gulps most of it down. She hands Redo the remaining drink, but then Kurara shows up. Shiko quickly offers it to her. Kurara says it tastes fine, while Shiko insists it feels strange. Moments later, both girls start sweating and acting like they're drunk. Redo realizes it's because of the drink, and the two girls then challenge each other to a karaoke battle while dragging Redo along there. While he steps out to fetch drinks, they secretly strike a deal. Whoever makes Redo generate more freaky energy, wins. When he returns, they're already dressed in flashy costumes. Shiko takes the lead, whispering seductively into Redo's ear. Kurara counters by sliding the mic into her big plots, and tells him to sing. Shiko raises the stakes by pressing the mic between her legs. The energy builds fast and the room descends into chaos while Redo's brain completely short-circuits. His power peaks, and the sudden outburst sends orange juice flying onto places the girls certainly don't mind. At home, Kurara once again blames Black Kurara for the mess. But even she admits to having no idea about what just unfolded. Finally, Kurara demands to know her true purpose. Black Kurara only smiles, reminding her that she's nothing more than a fragment of Kurara's subconscious. A lingering promise that she will claim Redo as her own. A few days later, Anju takes the team on a beach trip, calling it a gift from headquarters, while Cha-Cha stays behind in the office with Rumba. When they arrive, Anju immediately heads back, promising to pick them up the next day. The girls are thrilled, knowing they have a whole beach to themselves. Just as they're playing in the water, a sea cucumber suddenly clings to Kurara's hand. She freaks out while Sora calmly pulls it off with her usual poker face. She says sea cucumbers aren't dangerous, so Kurara tries to play with it, only for the thing to squirt some strange liquid on her. Sora guesses it may be a new species. Suddenly, a scream rings out from Mahime, and when they rush over, they find her surrounded by sea cucumbers, which scares them all. Later, back at the hotel, the owner apologizes for the delay and explains guests have been rare lately because of the sea cucumber problem. She advises them not to return to the beach for safety and informs them that an extermination team is on the way. To their surprise, it's Shiko's squad. Both teams are stunned to see each other. While Shiko talks non-stop, a quiet girl with glasses bows politely. Meanwhile, Redo returns from the restroom and bumps into a femboy, asking where the toilet is. Redo points it out casually, but the femboy notices his zero gear and tells him that he's a fan. Back in the lobby, Shiko fumes when she learns her team is stuck working while Kurara's team is on vacation. Sora suspects the agency planned this to force them to bond. Soon Redo and the femboy return and introductions are made. The girl with glasses is Yona, and the femboy is Tuma. With that settled, both teams head back to the beach. Redo, Tuma, and the others discuss whether a Kashichu might be behind the sea cucumber outbreak. They start seriously, until Shiko, Moana, and Yona casually begin squeezing sea cucumbers until they explode. They explain it's part of their plan to lure the Kashichu. Things quickly turn weird as the girls enjoy playing with the creature far too much. Redo pulls Tuma aside, relieved to finally have another guy, and complains about the gender ratio in each team. Tuma explains it's because girls are more sensitive, but admits he's worried about a Kashichu attack. Redo says he's ready, with plenty of energy left, and refuses to back down from a fight. Impressed, Tuma asks Redo to mentor him. He admits he's clumsy, weak, and often slows his team down. Hearing about Redo's ability to power up through freaky energy amazes him. Redo isn't sure if it's a compliment or just weird since it's not something he brags about, but Tuma is serious and begs to learn. Redo agrees to help. However, before he can, Redo asks what Tuma's energy looks like. Before Tuma can answer, the girls scream. The Kashichu appears and explains that sea cucumbers swarm their target, making them sensitive and drain their energy. Redo quickly comes up with a plan. He'll distract it while Tuma frees the girls. But just as he's ready to attack, Redo notices he's out of energy, and Tuma spots the cucumbers stuck to his back. With Redo unable to fight, he tells Tuma it's up to him. Though still scared, Tuma is encouraged when Redo promises to support him, saying that even if they're on different teams, they're still friends. Fired up, Tuma faces the enemy. But to Redo's shock, Tuma suddenly shoves him, sending him tumbling onto the girls in a soft pile of buns and jelly-like curves. Watching this, Tuma's energy surges out of pure desire as an onlooker. He unleashes everything in a single blast, wiping out the Kashichu. Redo, however, earns a slap from Kurara. Afterward, everyone relaxes in the hot tub, proud of Tuma for defeating his first Kashichu. Yona thanks Kurara's team for helping and invites them to Tokyo for a vacation. The girls enjoy the sunset together without plot armor. Meanwhile, Tuma personally thanks Redo while rubbing his back. Redo, confused, asks why he always hides his body, but before Tuma can answer, his towel slips, revealing the truth. The next morning, Redo wakes up to find Tuma being a bit too revealing. He tries to cover him, but right then the girls walk in. Momoka and Shiko immediately jump to conclusions, accusing Redo of being greedy and trying to take everyone for himself. They even offer themselves instead. Later, as thanks for solving the sea cucumber problem, the resort owner gives them a full breakfast on the house. Because of their invitation to Tokyo, Redo tells Unju not to bother picking them up. Unju is more than grateful, admitting he needs the rest after too many sleepless nights finishing costumes for the team. Meanwhile in Tokyo, Yona takes the group to Akihabara. Shiko, with her own hidden agenda, keeps tabs on everyone's power levels and complains the group's too big, suggesting they split into 2 teams. She hopes to end up with Redo, but others shoot her down, saying energy scores are private, so Mahime proposes rock paper scissors instead. Redo ends up with Mahime, Sora, and Tuma. This annoys Kurara and Shiko, who clearly wanted him. Yona leads them to an owl cafe where they see all kinds of owls. Tuma points out 2 that look suspiciously like Redo and Kurara, and Redo quickly snaps a photo. Yona teases that they seem really close, and Redo awkwardly brushes it off. Meanwhile, Shiko drags Kurara to an adult shop. Moana casually observes the bottom floor is just souvenirs, but the upstairs is where the real treasures are. Momoka notes it could be useful as an emergency energy booster, but Kurara, flustered beyond repair, bolts outside to breathe. Shiko buys herself a mushroom toy instead. She then asks why Kurara's relationship with Redo hasn't progressed. Kurara refuses to answer, so Shiko smugly declares that if Kurara won't act, she'll seduce him herself, warning that hesitation only leaves room for competition. Back with Redo's group, Yona leads them to an arcade. Sora dominates the shooting games like she's auditioning for John Wick, Mahime panics over everything, and Tuma wants to try VR. Redo stumbles upon a VR dating sim where a childhood friend helps him study. Classic. He tries it, only for Yona to rig it so she can pose as his practice friend. She goes for it, letting him boost her energy. Redo almost gets tricked, but yanks off the headset, insisting he already likes someone. Yona quickly backpedals, claiming it wasn't romantic. She just wanted to ride the wave of practice buddy trend. Redo flatly tells her there's no such thing. She apologizes, then admits his team actually inspires her, unlike hers. Redo tells her it's not weird, just that when things matter, they don't mess around. At the end of the day, the group split at the station. Redo says he needs the restroom, and Sora warns him not to be late or they'll ditch him. 2 minutes later, they ditch him. Lost, Redo wanders until he bumps into Kurara, who also got separated. They walk home together, awkward silence filling the air, until Redo shows her the owl photo. Kurara says she likes the one that looked like him better. Flustered, he asks if she bought anything. Kurara, embarrassed, admits Shiko bought her something and left it behind. When their train reaches the station, Kurara's hairpin slips off. Redo dashes off to ask staff for help, while Kurara insists it's fine. But then realizes she doesn't remember where or when she even got it. They search until nightfall, finally recovering it. They thank the staff, who tells Redo to walk her home since it's late. On the way, Redo tries to hold her hand, but she stops him and asks if he knows the hairpin story. She explains she doesn't recall anything before their first Kashichu fight. Redo hesitates, then admits it was a prank gift. He pretended to propose, saying if she wore it, she'd have to marry him. He planned to laugh and say it was a joke. But when her reaction was so cute, he couldn't take it back and meant it seriously. But after the Kashichu attack, she changed and started acting cold toward him. Kurara is shaken, realizing she's basically been engaged this whole time. Just then, a bush rustles. They brace for a fight, but it's only a raccoon. It knocks over Kurara's bag, revealing the mushroom toy. Embarrassed, she swears it's Shiko's. Redo asks why she didn't give it to Mina, and Kurara realizes how dumb that was. Redo teases that keeping it proves she's starting to take their hero job seriously. Kurara smacks him, accidentally triggering his freaky energy and ruining her clothes. Just then, someone approaches and she pulls Redo behind a bench. She throws on his jacket to cover up. In the quiet, she confesses she feels guilty for avoiding him because of her principles. But this time, she promises she'll give her answer to that old proposal seriously. However, they'll have to wait until they completely erase the Kashichu.